Greetings and welcome to Our Schools Monthly, the video program sponsored by the Port Huron Area School District designed to give you an inside look at what's happening in our schools. In today's show, we'll learn more about the School to Work Transition Program, we'll hear a little bit about community education, and we'll be visiting with Scott Stapleford, one of our elementary music specialists, as he tells us about the elementary program. And so don't go away. There is a lot to learn in today's show and a few surprises along the way as we bring you Our Schools Monthly. At this time, our guest in the studio is Mr. Robert Beeden, who works for the school district at the administration offices. He's an executive director, but I never can get the full title straight because there's so much involved. So, Mr. Beeden, thank you for joining me. Can I call you Bob today?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'll let you tell us a little bit about what you do as an executive director. It's board and curriculum services, but I know it's much more than that.
Well, it is, but the part that I really enjoy the most is working with the children and putting together programs. And the School to Work Transition Recognition Breakfast that we celebrated yesterday is one of those intricately feeling good type of tasks that we do for young people and also for the employers and for our staff. And this was our 6th annual School to Work Transition Recognition Breakfast, and the purpose of it is really two things. Number one is to thank the participating companies for their participation and the extra that they have to do in making their workday change a little bit when they've got somebody shadowing them or looking over their shoulder kind of thing and saying, yeah, well, what's going on here? So we really appreciate that. And then secondly, to recognize the students who do participate, and primarily they are 10th graders at both high schools in South, although students can go more than once. They could go 2 or 3 times, which we encourage them to do. And we try to base this based on some real data and solid information rather than just a whim, although we've been known to take a child up on when he says they want to do something, we'll say, well, we can help you with that. But really what we like to do is put together what we refer to as the Trinity, and that is the parent and the student and the counselor sitting down and using all of the career inventory tests and aptitude tests and things that they have done throughout their career to see which direction they might be pointed. And the one that most people are probably familiar with is the MOIS, Michigan Occupational Information System, although there are several others, including Bridges, that we do use, but it talks about people, data, and things. And at some point in time, these tests begin to come together to show that people have strong tendencies and would most likely be successful when measured against successful people in a certain field if they were to be more in people or more in data or more in things. And people always say, well, what is data? And the easy one is to talk about statisticians, mathematicians, accountants, and things like that, where they have to deal less with people, but certainly some, but much less than as if they were a salesperson. And then also things would be more mechanical in nature, like cars or airplanes or engineering, and where they're putting projects together and making it kind of come alive, what has been created in someone's mind or perhaps their own. And I really have to tell you that what's so exciting about this is that it's a team effort. I mean, there are so many people involved in this total project throughout the school year, and Al Gable has become kind of my right-hand man in this particular project because his great mobility around the community as far as co-op coordination and some things like that. We have Debbie Marks and Jan Bonadillo at Port Huron Northern, and Doris Stein and Janet Smith at Port Huron High School, who have just been really outstanding in making this whole project work. And then there's the entire counseling staff at both high schools. And the administrators, I just really appreciate how Ron Willeen and Joanne Monahan have become supportive of this program. And to date, we've had nearly 3,700 students go out in a little less than 6 years. And when you think about that, that's a phenomenal number. And it just continues to grow. The employers are slowing down a little bit because I think we frankly saturated the market and grabbed so many of them professionally around the neck, and they really are participating well. And so this year I think we had 8 new employers, but the other ones have stayed right with us, so our total number continues to improve. But it's really a team effort, and we've had a lot of good feedback for those parents that are listening and might be interested in getting involved in this. All they really need to do is to call their school counselor. We have made arrangements for extended day appointments where if a parent says, I'd love to do this, but I can't get in until 5 o'clock, we've made arrangements where the counselor can set up an appointment and be there to take care of them. We've also encouraged them to set up appointments before conferences or before open houses or whatever time they can get together. We have made arrangements for some flexible scheduling for the counselors to be there. So there's really no reason why a person couldn't get together and talk about our most prized resource, and that's our children.
At the kickoff breakfast, which by the way was September 18th, because this may air throughout the entire month of October. So when you say yesterday, we need to give them a timeline. There were many representatives from businesses there and also representatives from the school district and parent and student representatives. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you, you know that we taped it for CPHS 6, and we will be airing that breakfast, the speeches and the comments made by individuals on CPHS 6, but I thought it would be nice for you to know that we would like to use a few snippets from that tape in our program now. So we'll just take a few moments to listen to what a few kids had to say about the importance of the School to Work transition program in their lives. But in the meantime, while we cut to that, I'd like to thank you for being with me today, taking the time. We don't have the most beautiful weather right now as we're taping this, and I really appreciate your coming in from your very busy schedule to give us the background on School to Work transition. And if people have questions and they are not able to get through to their counselor, can they call you as well?
Oh, absolutely. We'd be delighted if they'd call us at the Board of Education office at 984-3101 and ask for extension 332.
Very good.
We'll be glad to call them back and do whatever we can to make it come together. It is the future that's so important, even in light of all the things that have happened in the past week or so, that it makes it even that much more important.
Thank you very much for being here. And
My pleasure.
Let's see what some of those kids and maybe a parent or two had to say.
Let's do that.
Just take a listen.
When I went to my job shadowing experience, I went to Wirtz Manufacturing. I job shadowed there because of the mechanical engineering field, which is a possible career I'd like to go into. My experience was good because I learned a lot about the engineering field, but it also gave me a chance to see if I wanted to go into the field. I think that the School to Work program is very beneficial because it gives you a chance to see what you want to go into, or if you really like the job, or if you don't like the job.
Job shadowing helps many students make decisions about their future. For me, it has confirmed my plan to go into emergency medicine. I plan on becoming a paramedic as well as a trauma flight nurse. For some people, job shadowing works in the opposite direction. It is a clear indication of a field that they no longer wish to pursue. In our years of high school, many teens are unaware of what their futures hold. Indecisiveness, questions, and fears are among the concerns we have. Job shadowing helps to alleviate some of these and make students aware of the endless possibilities awaiting for them.
Job shadowing played an important role in my decision. If I hadn't gone to look at the lab, I probably wouldn't have changed my mind until my second year of college, which is not really the place you want to be indecisive. And so job shadowing helped me see the profession and make an informed judgment.
I thank Mrs. Smith and the school district for giving me and other students the opportunity to job shadow. It's a valuable program to students trying to make a career decision. I have encouraged many students to participate in this program because I think it is great. Thank you.
Have you ever had an interest in taking a class that had nothing to do with school, you thought, but maybe a hobby or a passion? Well, our next guest is Judy Morris, who is the new Community Education Supervisor, or Coordinator for the Portune Area School District. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Ken.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on
and
the
it's
program.
a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very
You're
much.
taking over from Mark Hanton.
That's right.
In Community Education, and I thought it would be really great to let people see who you are, because you're going to be very visible in the community with community education.
Okay, well, it's a pleasure to be here, and it's nice to have the chance to tell the community about community ed. And I'm taking over, as you said, from Mark Hanton, who's gone to Holland Woods Woods Middle School, who did a great job in community ed this past couple of years.
However, before we do that, I want you to tell our audience about you. So
Okay.
tell us a little bit about your background and your history in work experience.
Okay. Well, I've lived in Port Huron for about 25 years, and most of that time I was at St. Clair County Community College in varying capacities. And then this last year I worked on the United Way campaign. While I was at the college, one of my roles was to work with off-campus programming, where the college would take classes out into buildings throughout the thumb, in this case, and offer courses that people needed either for personal enrichment to help them with their jobs, or in some cases degree completion. So it involved doing many of the same similar types of things that I'm doing in community ed with the school district.
Okay, so with the school district, what is community education?
Community education is geared towards providing educational and enrichment opportunities for people of all ages who live in our area who would like to take a class or participate in an activity that they feel will enrich their lives or further their education or provide them recreational activities.
Well, actually, I'm going to correct you because it's not just for people, because I know we have dog obedience.
We have dog obedience.
The dogs get to come too.
Yeah, it was interesting. People would call up to find out about when the dog obedience classes were going to start, and you could kind of hear the sense of desperation in many of their voices.
We have a puppy, help us.
I'm sure the first classes have gotten off to an interesting start.
Exactly,
Yes, it's
exactly.
one of our
So the
more
dogs come to
popular.
the first night?
Yes, they do.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy. Fido gets his enrollment right
Yes,
away.
yeah.
So what kind of other things do you do? I know it's a broad gamut. You can't touch
Yeah,
all of them, but
yeah.
just give us a sampling across the board.
I would say the main groupings fall in the area of finance. We're offering a wills and trust class, which I took last year and I thought was very, very interesting. I've taken a lot of community ed classes over the years, to the new tax laws, that type of thing. A variety of arts and crafts type courses, everything from painting to stained glass, baskets, wreaths, all that type of thing. Fitness types of activities, yoga. Recreational type things such as karate. We have fourth grade basketball going in 4 of the city elementary schools this fall. The 6th grade boys and girls basketball, which runs at the high school for a 7-week period. And also computers, because of course those are just always very, very popular courses. And those are divided between, we have some specifically geared at Garfield School for seniors that are offered more like around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is probably a better time for some of our seniors to attend. We're offering some in Lakeport this year, and also other ones like at Central Intermediate and Fort Gratiot. Excel, Microsoft Word, PageMaker, PowerPoint.
Last year, Mark and I talked about this a little bit, and the idea was that very often younger people who are in the workforce would upgrade and buy a new computer because they needed it for their careers or for their family use, and the other computer was often given to the parents because the parents are of the older generation before the computers became a real useful tool, and they don't know anything about them, having not grown up with them or not having worked with them at work. So I know there was one man who came in and said, I don't even know how to turn the thing on, and he wound up becoming very comfortable with surfing the internet and doing email.
Sure, or what is A drive, what is a mouse. And I know when people have called to inquire about the classes, and they've just said, I just don't know anything about them at all, and we've said that's fine, you know, we have beginning courses for you. And what's nice about them is they're fairly short in length. I don't know if you've ever sat through like a whole day computer training thing, but about 3 in the afternoon my brain kind of starts.
And you don't remember what you learned at 9.
Right, and these are shortened to the point where people can absorb the information, go home and try it out on their computer, and then come back for a second session. So
you already mentioned a little bit where the classes are taught, but I know that we're out in the communities, and there are some special considerations for the townships. Would you like to touch on that a little bit?
Currently, for the fall semester, we are teaching classes in 9 different buildings, in addition to the elementary schools for the 4th grade basketball. But what's nice for people that live in Kimball Township, Fort Gratiot, and Birchville Townships, their townships will reimburse or give a discount of 50% to individuals who take a class at a building in their township. So for example, I live in Fort Gratiot. If I would go to Fort Gratiot Middle School and take a class, it would automatically cut the cost in half, which is nice.
However, it does not apply if you don't live in that township.
No, you have to take
I live
a class.
in Kimball, but that doesn't work for me in Fort Gratiot.
No, you would need to take something
But as a
in
Kimball resident, if I took it in Kimball, I would have a discount.
That's right.
Excellent. Those are really good things. And are the classes always in the evening? You mentioned the afternoon ones for the seniors, but most of them are evening classes?
Most of them are primarily Monday through Thursday, starting anywhere from 6 o'clock, 6:15, 6:30. So it gives people a time to maybe come directly from work, or just go home and change and come back for a class and be able to get home at a reasonable hour. We do have golf on Saturday and a couple Fridays, but in the main it's the Monday through Thursday. The bulk of them are on Tuesday and Wednesdays.
Okay.
We have over 75 offerings this fall.
So if someone is interested, how do they find out about the classes, first of all? That'd be my next question. How do they learn what classes are being offered?
Okay, a couple different ways. You can go on to the Port Huron Area School District's website, and there is a section specifically linked through community education where you can go in and view our listings. We have a brochure which comes out in the Times Herald and also in the Shopper prior to the start of each semester. We also have them available in the local schools, so if a parent's dropping their child off at school, they can go in and get a brochure. Or if they missed the brochure and didn't get one, they can call us and we'll be happy to mail them one.
Or they can stop by the administration building and
That's
pick one
right.
up at the front desk at the receptionist. And of course, the classes are already underway, but that doesn't mean that it's too late to sign up for classes.
No, a lot of our classes will not be starting until October.
Okay.
So they start throughout the whole year. I mean, some don't even start till almost the end of November and are still finished by the end of the semester. So if people didn't get the brochure, didn't think they had the time, and now find they do, it's not too late to register for a lot of them.
So how do they register then?
Okay. There is a form in the brochure which they can complete, and at the current time you can either mail it to the school district, you can bring it in to the building on Lapeer, or you can leave it at the school that's closest to your home, and they will route them through the inter-school mail to our office.
And in most cases, any fees involved are relatively small. There are sometimes, I know, materials fees. For example, stained glass, maybe you have to buy a kit or something.
Right.
Or if you're making a floral arrangement, you have to buy the materials for the floral arrangement. But for the most part, they're nominal fees.
They're very affordable. Although community ed is self-supporting, at the same time, we want to make our courses so affordable that it'll be very easy for people to take them.
You mentioned the township discount. How about for seniors? Is there a discount for them?
There is also, that's 25%. But if a person uses the township discount, then that one doesn't, kick in.
So you don't get 75%.
No.
See, I
As
can do my
I
math.
said, community ed is self-supporting.
That's true. That's true. Any special considerations for families if 3 or 4 children wanted to be in one program? Is there anything like that?
Not at the current time, but I'm open to a lot of new suggestions, and that is something that I am looking at. As a matter of fact, we're hoping in the spring maybe to offer a class at a building, several classes at a building on gardening, where the parents can come and the kids can come and kind of do separate activities and then things together, and we're going to look at a family rate for that one. So that is something that we're going to be looking at down the line.
And of course, you're always looking for people with talents or interests or experience where they could teach one of these classes. So if somebody had an area that they thought would make an interesting class and maybe would be marketable for our community, how do they go about contacting you?
They can contact me at the school building office. That's 984-3101, extension 340, and I'd be more than happy to talk to them. I'm really interested in continuing classes that we have had that have been real popular, and obviously, just continue to have enrollment semester after semester, but also introduce some new ones. And I'm thinking about offering a course in January on teaching to teach.
Oh, that's
because I think sometimes people really have a lot of great skills, but they're afraid to, try to teach other people.
Speaking,
right, or they're just not quite sure what to do. And so we thought we might offer,
that's a great idea.
Just a real short, how to teach to others course that would kind of give people a little more confidence than to teach a subject area they
breaks
like.
the ice to it. Let's show them that they can do it, and that's a comfort zone. I'm going to say one thing again, and that's your extension is 340, because everybody can find the phone number for the school district. It's on the back of the Our Schools, and it's published on everything. But when you call and you get the recording, if you know the party's extension,
then you don't know
it's nice to know 340, and you avoid all that.
Yes, and I do have voicemail, and I do return calls. So
very good.
Yes.
All right, so I think that pretty much covers everything. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about with community education?
I think my one other thought is if people have suggestions for classes that they would like to see taught, I would really like to know those also. So if people, when they look through the brochure now or in future semesters, because we will have a new brochure coming out for the winter semester and then another brochure coming out for the spring semester, if there isn't a course in there that you think would be really of value for people to take, I'd be really interested in knowing that also.
Okay. And I know if someone were to stop by the administration building, they would go to the front desk and say that they'd like to speak to community education. They'll run into one of our secretaries, either Carol Moore or Linda Stoutenberg. Linda is your secretary, but both of them work for both both of us sort of, doing different things. So if they want to come down and stop in and see us to register or to get information or to pick up a brochure, they can do that too.
Anyone's more than welcome.
And our business hours at the administration building are 8 in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon during the school year, and then in the summer it's a little bit different, but we won't worry about that right now.
No.
So 8 to 4, Judy Morris, Community Education. We encourage you to take a class with Community Ed or give Judy a call to see if there's something that you can suggest or propose or to answer your questions. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. I look forward to an excellent career with community education with all that other experience behind you.
Well, I'm really enjoying working for the
Very
school
good.
district.
And we're glad to have you.
Thank you.
So that's our experience with community education. Remember, the extension to call is 340 if you have questions at the Port Huron Area School District Administration Office.
Children learning the violin. It should be a common occurrence in all schools, but it isn't. But thanks to a grant from your Community Foundation of St. Clair County, children in the Port Huron Area School District are discovering the world of good music, developing the discipline it takes to master an instrument, and all because the International Symphony wanted to ensure its future would be filled with capable musicians. An instructor and instruments were needed. The Community Foundation provided the funds for violinist Dr. Rebecca Brown. Blue Water Area Schools had the kids. The program is booming, all thanks to concerned citizens and your Community Foundation of St. Clair County. With your continued support, the foundation continues to make life better in the Blue Water area.
Joining me in the studio now is Scott Stapleford, one of our elementary music specialists who serves at Michigami and Lakeport Elementary Schools, but is going to represent about 40 elementary specialists in various fields. Hi, Scott.
Hi, how are you, Ken?
Doing great. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
Scott, I thought it would be nice if the viewers at home learned a little bit more about our specialist program, because all children in grades kindergarten through 5th, and even the pre-primaries and some of the other programs, have exposure to art, music, PE, and technology, but very few people really know what that program is all about. So you get to be the representative today, and I thank you for coming in. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what a specialist does, not just a music specialist, but any of the specialists.
Well, all specialists are responsible for teaching around 600 students a week. Many schools are not quite large enough to keep a specialist full-time just at one building, so many of us have to go. We have one main building, and then we share another. I myself am at Michigami. I have all of Michigami, and I have half of Lakeport and 4 classes right now at Sparlingville. Class sizes, you know, are typically around 23, between 20 and 25. And my schedule, typically I see 8 classes a day. And so I get to know all the students in the entire school, and it's really neat to be able to see them go from one year to the next as they grow. I don't just learn my little core of students, but I get to see the whole school and get to see the different mixes in the classrooms and the different chemistries between students, and it's really fascinating for being a student of human behavior, just to see all the children and how they switch from one year to the next.
And how they grow and mature.
Yeah, and with different teachers and different classes.
Now, when you say you get to see all the students, that's at your base school, Michigami.
Right.
But you might have different classes at the other schools as the schedule works out. But
right.
you wind up being the teacher for everybody at Michigami.
Right. And I have to be nice to all the teachers. You know,
we all have to be nice to all the teachers. We want to be, because we're a good, close-knit family.
Absolutely.
You have some interesting things that happen, I know, in your classroom at Michigami, and probably also at Lakeport, but I know about the Michigami with the carpet squares for the seats, so that the children don't have to sit on chairs, they can move a little bit more freely, and I know that you encourage a lot of active participation with music. So when you teach specifically music to elementary students, it's not a sit-down all-day job.
No.
And it's very physically active, I know.
Yes, it is. Especially with the younger ones, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. We like to do a lot of motion, a lot of movement. You know, movement, all of music is about movement. Even when you're playing an instrument, you're moving your fingers. When you're singing, you're moving your breath control, your vocal control. It's all about movement, music is, and it's all about time and keeping time. So we encourage a lot of movement and beat keeping in the younger grades, and a lot of actions, and just try to make it fun. I want kids to know that music is fun and it can be cool in a lot of different ways. And more than anything, I want the students to grow up with the idea that music and the arts are fun and they're cool, and they don't have to be, they don't have to necessarily listen to all the things that their parents listened to, but that there is value in the old as well as the new, and I try to combine the two together in my teaching.
And music is very rewarding, personally rewarding as well. It can comfort you, it can encourage you, it can inspire you, and, and that sort of thing. So every child gets 35 minutes of music a week?
Every child has classes of 35 minutes, but second and third graders get 2 contacts per week. So I really get to know the students in the second and third grade really well.
What kind of special things do you do in various grade levels? For example, in second and third, there's probably something special that you might do with them because they have a little bit more time with you.
The third graders, I do a Christmas program with them. Because I see them twice a week, it's very conducive to extra time for practicing and things for, you know, between November and the time of the Christmas program. So we do a Christmas program, and then the older kids we do a spring program with. That's how I do it. Different schools, the different teachers might do it differently, but that's how I handle it.
How about instruments? What kind of instruments do the kids become familiar with?
Mostly percussive instruments, percussion instruments, the bells, the handbells, the glockenspiels, the drums, the wood sticks. I try to bring in extra instruments from time to time, my guitar, the keyboards. At one school they had a trumpet, so I brought the trumpet around, and in the 6th grade, being an alumnus from the Port Huron Area School District, I played the trumpet at Chippewa Intermediate School under the direction of Mr. Unger. And so I still remembered my scale that Mr. Unger taught me. So I got that trumpet out and I re-taught myself how to play that scale. And in the key of C major, I played a few songs for them and teach them how to blow into the brass instruments, which is very fun to do because your lips go numb after you do it for a few minutes. So I make them do it for a few minutes and their lips go numb, and they have lots of fun.
I play trombone, so I can relate. And how about recorders? Do they do that too? Or?
Recorders. I do the recorders in the 5th grade right now. My primary area is vocalist, so I am learning some of the instruments and becoming proficient in them as I teach, and especially Mr. Rambaum is going to be giving me more materials this year. He does a lot with recorders, and I would like to do more. So we work together as teachers in the music department and to try to teach one another new things so that we can get a broader base for the children.
And that's something else I wanted you to mention. I appreciate your going there, is that the elementary specialists, there are 9 of you, but we have I think we have a real close-knit group, and we're very supportive of one another, and all of you work with the Silver Burdette series of CDs, so you have music accompaniment that you can use in teaching the children, and then you can finagle the CD performance track so that the children can use the music as accompaniment as well. So it gives them an opportunity to sing with perhaps full orchestra and perhaps just a piano, perhaps some other musical instrument, but it really creates a lot of fun for the kids, especially when some of the songs that I've sat in on have been real upbeat tempo and interesting words like "Never Smile at a Crocodile." I'll never forget that one. Well, you've mentioned 2 key words that lead us into it. We're going to segue right now. You mentioned vocalist, and I see you've brought your guitar with you.
Yes.
And so I understand that recently, in response to the most disparaging activities that have taken place in New York, that you've written a song, and that you've shared the song with the staff at Lakeport and Michigamme, and several people suggested that I ask you to share it with the rest of our viewing audience. So at this time I'd like to ask if you would do that. I know it's a song about freedom, and it was written from your heart as you became more and more aware of the events that have transpired in New York.
Yes, and I've sang this in the older grade levels, and used this song as an introduction to a small discussion on freedom and patriotism, and about writing down your thoughts. I encourage them to write down their thoughts as I did, and it turned into a song.
Great.
And trying to encourage them to explore their feelings and be aware of themselves. I had a dream about freedom. My father had that dream too. What is the cost of the freedom that's been handed down to me and you? Ones who have fought for our people, the ones who have died for the cause, they dare to dream about freedom, willing to pay the highest cost. Freedom will stand against the will of angry men. Freedom will stand when love decides to win. Freedom will go on where the men and women know that by remembering those we've lost, we will make our freedom grow. All of us work for our freedom every day. We do our jobs and let love lead the way. Freedom will stand, although some of us will fall. But they will go on in the heart of us all. 'Cause we won't forget you, and your spirit remains. When the conflict is met, together we will gain. And Lady Liberty was unshaken from the sound as she looked on when vigilance failed, but freedom stands its ground. Freedom will stand against the will of angry men. Freedom will stand when love decides to win. Freedom will go on where the men and women know that by remembering those we've lost, we will make our freedom grow. Freedom will stand. Freedom will go on. Freedom will move on. Freedom remains. Freedom will stand.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you,
I
Ken.
appreciate you sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. And we're thinking about all those who have lost their lives or the loved ones who have been left behind in New York City. And we appreciate everyone's support in our county, in our community, in our schools, in our neighborhoods who have lent their support to this disaster program and to sending relief to New York. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good evening.
Lady Liberty was unshaken from the sound as she looked on when vigilance failed, but freedom stands its ground. Freedom will stand against the will of angry men.